Well, welcome back. It is the Rick Corey Sports Special. We're back for 2025. The year's changed. The 6A1 state champion has not, and that is, of course, the Bixby Spartans. Loren Montgomery, head coach, joins us. We're brought to you by Sunrise Cafe, 101st and Sheridan. I understand you had a couple of experiences there during the summer.
Hey, I think it's the best brunch in town. Randy and his crew down there, it's first class, and I mean things that you wouldn't typically find on, as you mentioned, on a diner menu. I
Yeah.
think I had the salmon omelet with capers, and just there's interesting French toast. The service is excellent, and he's got quite the following down there. I know there are people, if you go on the weekends, waiting to get in there from time to time. So
Yeah.
it's a really good place, and I think that's a good sign when people are waiting to get in there that you got a pretty good product.
Now, speaking of that, there might be some people waiting to get in a game you're going to be in on Thursday night as it kicks off against Owasso week 0. But I want to back up. Last time you and I visited, you had just finished that incredible, maybe the best high school, big school state championship game in history, a 1 point win against Owasso. And then I knew what your summer plans were. Tell me how they went.
Summers are fast and furious, and so once we get rolling in summer, we school's out, we finish spring ball, we go to team camp, and then we take a week off. We give all our players and staff a week off after our team camp because it's basically been 5 weeks of football with spring ball and team camp and all that. And then we get going, and summers are busy between passing leagues, 7-on-7, what we call SPA, speed, power, agility. Just do so much. But now we're back in the swing of things with practice and right here on game week now.
All right, so sometimes during those times, during the end, the months off, guys get bigger, guys get stronger, guys get faster. That is the goal all the time. Sometimes guys get hurt. Is everybody healthy?
Absolutely, we've had a really good off season. A couple guys just like after every season have to have a maybe a surgery to clean up a shoulder or knee or whatever, and those guys. Are back and rolling. We went through spring ball and team camp, missing a guy or two because of that. And now we got those guys back, and we expect to be full strength Thursday.
You think of the Carson Kirby's, the Cord Nolans. You certainly think of Braden Presley, who is, I heard of back when he was very young, saying, it's got to be the best one. Actually, the sister I'm hearing is the best athlete, but this one's going to be the best of the other three. How are those guys? And it's not just them. You got a lot of guys who are going to carry you on. Those are the names we know. Who do we not know about? We're going to notice.
I love that, and I think that's our calling card at Bixby is developing players. And yeah, everybody knows Braden Presley and Cord Nolan and Emery Snyder and those guys that are committed to play Division I football. But a guy that I need to highlight because he's playing so well. One of our offensive guards, an undersized offensive guard. You'll appreciate that, Rick. But Sam DeWoody. He's about 5'10" and 220 pounds, and just one of the most tenacious players on the team. And so we got guys like that. We got guys like Maverick Nance, who was a really good blocker for us at tight end last year down the stretch. But we'll replace Cooper Parker in at inside linebacker. Ben Rogowski, a safety, who's doing really good stuff. And a couple of juniors that I think are good players. That you haven't heard of yet. Jack Gill. He's a outside linebacker, tight end, short yardage running back type guy. He's a good player, so you'll hear his name. And so we have some of those guys that have stepped up and really worked hard to earn their positions. But just love those senior program guys that get their opportunity to start for the first time as seniors. They've seen it through. They've waited their time, and it just means so much to them.
One of the things about those guys who get that 1 year opportunity, Lauren, they've worked so hard for it. They've been great practice players. They've pushed other guys, and they've certainly gotten game time. Once they get there, to me, it seems like there's not as much of a chance for big guys because they're such workers. How do they generally react to that first game atmosphere, that first real knowing you're the guy? How do you keep nerves out of them, or is it an individual thing?
Well, we try to give our guys lots of opportunities to step up and compete, and not just in football, but for instance, our Night of Champions in the summer to perform under pressure, and so most of our guys have been in some pressure situations and played in some games like that, and we would expect them to step right in. I know there's a lot of nerves with a first start or what have you, but after the first play, it's really just football like we've played our whole life.
Yep, exactly. And most of those guys kind of roll right in there. All right, so this one is against an old new foe, Bill Blankenship is back. I know it doesn't really matter to you who the guy is on the head coaching side and the other side. It only changes a style just a little bit. But knowing Bill and knowing Bill's style, knowing Antonio and his style, what kind of differences do you expect?
For one thing, we don't have any film. We weren't able to trade any film. They didn't get a scrimmage this year, and so we're really kind of going in blind or cold turkey. I mean, that they'll know a lot about us because not a lot has changed as far as our coordinators and our personality. But for them, they've got two new coordinators, Josh Blankenship, and
Mm-hmm.
of course we know some of the things that he did at Broken Arrow, and we've studied some of his film there. But his personnel is quite a bit different. And then their defensive coordinator is different too. Steve Neal, who was at Deer Creek last year, and we were familiar with Deer Creek and we played them, but kind of the same thing. He's got different personnel this year. So it's kind of unnerving from a game prep standpoint, but we're going to have to adjust and do a good job as coaches, understanding what they're trying to do once we get into the game.
But as you've always said, the key is you want you to be you. You want your guys to be your guys. Don't beat yourselves and move forward. How much of an advantage is it having a really experienced quarterback?
It's big. I think quarterback is the most important position, and so to have a guy there that's got 2 years under his belt as a starter is really important. And the team we're playing, Owasso, they've got a really good quarterback as well who started last year as a sophomore. So it's going to be a game with two really good quarterbacks going at it.
So you guys have done a lot of quarterback 1-2, if you will. You've traded a lot of guys out. Is this more Carson's year, or will we see multiples?
Well, we'll use multiple quarterbacks like we always do, but Carson, whereas last year Carson may have gotten 75% of the snaps or 80% of the snaps, I would expect it to be a little heavier than that this year for him. He's got a unique skill set. He throws the ball well, and he also runs the ball well.
Tell me a little bit about his summer. How has he gotten better? What's he better at now than maybe he wasn't at the end of the year? I mean, he was good at everything then, but what's he improved at?
Speed. One of the biggest things there, he runs track in the off season and is on our 4x100 team. And I think he's gotten a step faster. And then in the weight room, he's gotten stronger as well. A big thing for Carson is just making sure that he understands our offense and plays within himself and doesn't have to do anything superhuman. He just needs to run our offense and get the ball to our playmakers.
About Braden Presley, his summer, and what do you think he's going to be better at even?
I felt like Braden right down to the very end in the state championship game last year continued to grow and get better and make improvements. And I don't think he has reached his ceiling. He had over 100 yards receiving in that state championship game last year and played every snap of defense. But this summer, he's also gotten a step faster. He's gotten more of a command on what we're doing both sides of the ball and just continues to be a great leader for our team. And so he missed his sophomore year or a lot of it due to an injury. And really, I think he's a long way off still from his ceiling as good as he's been.
This Bixby Owasso game has become such a big deal. It's going to be at H.H. Chapman. It kicks off on a Thursday. Do you care that it's a Thursday at all?
No, I like it. We talk about, in fact, that's what I suggested to our athletic director. We want to be the first high school football game in 2025 in Oklahoma. And I'm sure there are some other Thursday night games, but not many. And so the excitement around that first game, I would expect an excellent crowd. The first year we did Battle of the Burbs, I think we had 23,000, 20,000, 23,000, something
Yeah.
like that there. And then the next year was about 102 at kickoff, and so attendance wasn't quite as good, but it should be a great crowd, and it'll be great for the community of Tulsa as well as our athletic department. It's our home game, so we're hoping it's a great gate as well.
It's been said so much during the summer, Bixby. Last year you had a couple of questions going in. You knew you were going to be really good, but this year everybody just says, yeah, those guys, they're the team to beat. Do you like that? Do you not like that? Do you try to keep that out of your kids' heads? How do you approach it?
I don't like it when people are talking about that because your kids hear it and stuff like that, and winning is hard. It doesn't matter whether you've got four returning starters like we did last year or whether you've got you know 16 like we do this year. Winning is difficult, and if those guys read those press clippings and start to drink their own Kool-Aid, it doesn't go well.
If every year I ask a head coach for this season to be successful for your football team, what is most important that you do?
I think, as you mentioned earlier, we gotta be lucky. We gotta stay healthy, and then with a veteran team, you don't want to see a veteran team that just becomes stagnant, that doesn't improve each and every
Right.
week. And so, I think for us, it's finding ways to get better and improve every time we take the football field because the people we're playing are getting better as well. So. That's going to be a big emphasis for us is developing as a football team out on the football field, developing individually in the weight room, in the classroom, things like that. And we like to consider ourselves a developmental program, and a big piece of that is finding ways to get better each and every day.
Do you have any time to yourself in the summer? Do you get away, do anything fun?
Oh yeah, yeah. We have some afternoons off and stuff like that, and family takes a vacation, and found our way out on the golf course here and there. My kids are starting to get into that, so that's fun.
Outstanding. All right, we want to remind you this is sponsored by Sunrise Cafe, 101st and Sheridan. As Lauren said, he and his group have been out there an awful lot. We want to say thanks to Randy Robbins for doing that for us. If you've never been there, it's right next to that Sinclair at 101st and Sheridan, and it is different, man. When we're talking about the best kind of brunch, if you will, in town, something that's a little different, not just diner food, it's really escalated, elevated. Prices are great, service is great. Go find out if you've ever had the Okie omelet. You can only have it once every now and then because there's a lot of stuff in there, but man, it's really good. You want to give them a shot, and we want to say thanks to Randy again. Lauren, thanks for being back with us this year. Have a great time. I definitely will be in the stands.
Hey, thanks, Rick. I appreciate it. Look forward to visiting with you soon.